No.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude, I swear to God. Hi, everybody. Hi, Magnesium Citrate. Welcome back. Wow. Boy, howdy! Yeah, where the fuck have I been, huh? What the fuck has been going on? Why did I go away? Why was I gone? There's a lot of reasons. Hi, everybody. So welcome back. It's been a minute. Yes, it's been a while. I didn't make any kind of announcement over Twitch. I probably should have put it on like vacation mode or something, but after my last stream, which was sometime like early January, I think it was I remember what it was. It was the Beyond the Cursed Mirror stream, but I took a break. I took a hiatus. It was originally going to be a few weeks long, but a bunch of stuff happened. A bunch of silly stuff happened. It was a wacky time. It was wacky. Yeah. So I was, to explain where I've been gone. Hi, welcome to the stream. Welcome back. Welcome and all this stuff. To explain where I've been. So after my last stream, the week after that, I ended up not streaming because I just was feeling kind of over it. And then by the following week, I was kind of like, you know what? It's time. I need to take another break. I just had a bunch of stuff going on. And I don't know. I was starting to feel a little bit burnt out, a little tired of being available on the internet all the time. So I needed a break. I wasn't feeling it, and then I was like, you know what? I'm not feeling it. I'm starting to dread getting on the computer and setting everything up. I need to get my life together in a lot of different ways. So I need to take a break. And because if I didn't, then my streams would be bad. They would be bad. So that happened. And also because at the beginning of February, my parents were going on a vacation. They were doing their anniversary trip. So they needed somebody at the time to watch my grandfather. Now, my grandfather, who has since passed away, we'll get there. We'll get there. And you got just real quick, you guys can hear everything, right? Again, it's been what, 3 months? 4 months. Oh god, it's been like 4 months since I've streamed. So if anything isn't working, I did a pretty lengthy test to pre-stream to see if everything's working right, but I'd still, all right, I can't entirely be certain, so they needed somebody to, my grandfather back in like September of last year was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. So he had moved in with my mom because they had like a basement where they could add a little kitchenette, and like there's like there's 2 spare bedrooms and stuff like that. So he stayed with them. So the first thing that happened was that week I needed to, which would have been like, I'd already not streamed for 2 weeks, but I also needed to spend some time at the house because while my parents were gone, they needed somebody to be there for my grandfather in case anything happened. Something happened. So, pancreatic cancer. I'm not going to get too much into detail with that because it's, you can take a wild guess and assume it's a bit of a downer. But some of it's relevant for later. So the gist of it was, without putting too much of his business out there, rest in peace, Archie. That's my grandfather, Archie Riley. Rest in peace. But basically, I was watching him, and it was kind of like treatments. They'd ceased treatment, and it was basically pain management. But he was like, what they assumed was from the pain meds was like really out of it, really loopy. So I spent some time with him. I was like hanging out, making food for him and stuff. And then like we did some errands and whatnot. But So he was getting like really like tired, really loopy, really like I barely know what's going on. It's not good. And so we did a quick, and it was pancreatic cancer. So we did a quick, it made him diabetic. He had no history of diabetes, but it made him diabetic. So we did a quick, like, all right, well, let's do a quick glucose test. I bet you your glucose is high. And when you get the finger prick thing and it gives you a little reading, it's like, for those of you who aren't diabetic or don't know anybody with diabetes, most people's blood sugar is within 100 and 110. So if it goes above 110, you're hyperglycemic. If you go below 100, you're hypoglycemic. Anything, if you ever get it above 110, you have diabetes. So we plugged the thing in. It just said hi. I was like, well, that's not good.
That wasn't good.
That's not good. That wasn't good. So we had been trying to get him on insulin, but like the doctors had like talked him out of it. Like, first of all, okay, we need to talk. When you get when you're old, when somebody is old and we need a fucking rant about this really quick here. I hate this fucking country so much because when you're old, any treatment you try to do for any health issues, when they're like, oh, you have cancer and you've ceased treatments, well, then what's the fucking point? So like anything to manage anything other than like, here, have some fentanyl, they're like, which they don't even do, by the way, because like, fentanyl, but like they just are like, you're not going to need that. You're like, oh, I think I have an ear infection. They're like, well, you don't have long anyway. So like any fucking thing to manage anything, they would just like talk them out of doing it. So it had been like a fucking struggle to get him like insulin because it's like his shit was fucked because the pancreatic cancer. So his pancreas isn't processing sugar. Like he needs, right. So we had finally, like apparently he'd gotten approved like a few days before, but he was just like too delirious to understand the text message. So like we're like, okay, fuck. It says hi. That's probably bad. I know those things go up to like I believe I found out later that high means that it's past the max, which means over 500. Now again, normal is 100 and 110. Anything above 110, like that's the scale we're talking about here. If you don't know anything about diabetes, so it was like over 500. So and I'm like, all right, my parents are in I think Las Vegas. And so we had him go through his phone and we find out he did get approved for insulin. So then I had to go pick up his insulin pump while he was just like in and out of consciousness and figure out how to do insulin for the first time. I get back. And by the way, my mom, bless her heart, she's really into this, like, it's an MLM. It's an MLM. But she has always these like, I get back and I'm like, when I was at the pharmacy, I didn't pick up any alcohol wipes because I'm like, everybody has alcohol around the house, right? Everybody's got alcohol, rubbing alcohol. I know my mom always does. So we get back and I'm like, all right, trying to get the insulin set up for the first time. And it's like, and I've never done, I've had, with my job, I'm a support worker for people with developmental disabilities. And I have worked with a couple diabetics, but none where they would need insulin injections. They were all type 2. And well managed. I think if your type 2 gets bad enough, you also might need insulin, but it's not common. But unless you're type 1. But so I'm like, well, shit. I look through all of the spots, like all the first aid kits. I don't find any alcohol anywhere. And my mom was like, oh, don't worry. She has these like microfiber cloths that she is like, and Mom, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I'm going to put you on blast for a minute. But she like has these microfiber cloths that she's like, oh no, these are antiseptic. These are sanitized. And I don't think that's how that works. But so I looked all over and she's like, oh, did you check like a fingernail polish remover? I don't know. It was a battle. I didn't find any fucking. So I had to give him like an insulin shot and it didn't work. I gave him his insulin shot. I mean, I think the insulin went in, but his condition didn't improve. And keep in mind, I work a graveyard shift. So every one of these, like I had to like wake up and do this. So I like had been asleep, so I'm also like, fuck, what's going on, and I didn't have any fucking Adderall. So like this was when this wasn't during the shortage, but there's for some reason since the shortage has ended for whatever goddamn reason, every time it's been like a auto refill has gone through to like send to the pharmacy, they just have just Rite Aid fucking sucks, I guess. So they just don't do it. They don't fill the damn thing. And so I'm like 3 days withdrawing from Adderall, so I'm also borderline delirious, and I'm sitting here trying to get this like insulin shot in and keeping track of him. And eventually he's just like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. It's not getting better. Let's go to the fucking... And he's, was avoiding the hospital because they're bad. They suck. And so, and he just was like, I'm fucking over it. Just take me to the goddamn hospital, whatever. So I have to take him in. My mom is his like caregiver. So she's like power of attorney and all of that. I'm just there while they're gone in another state. And so I have to do everything. Shut the fuck up, Ryan. Hi, welcome back. We're doing a little fun story time, okay? I promise it gets less bleak after this. But so I had a day where I had to do like everything administrative at the hospital. I had to call into work, and I'm in there. And I don't know if you're aware of hospitals in America, but they've gotten real bad. They're not good.
That wasn't good.
They're not good right now. So the ER is like packed, understaffed, and they're like, all right, so like he gets the ambulance takes him in. I catch up. I go into the waiting room, like the admissions, and they're like, I'm like, oh hey, I'm here for Archie Riley. I'm his grandson, Sean Peden, and they're like, oh, he's in hallway 3, and I'm like, okay, I assume that means that his room is in the hallway 3. No. They just left him in the fucking hallway. And then, like, just left him there because they were busy. And so, like, they do some of the basic shit, but, like, basically, and again, I'm not going to go into too much detail here because believe me, I could go into a lot. But I'm there. I'm having to sort out like the bureaucratic hospital stuff and having to like get staff attention and like answer questions for him and try to remember all of the like medical shit. Cause like, we weren't planning on an event. It was like a just in case thing. I'm just there to like, I'm just a fucking idiot. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm doing my best, trying to remember everything. And as usual, they just don't have any of his fucking information on file, even though he'd been there before. Yeah. And, but it's like, yeah, they were swamped and yeah, they're just like that. And, but they're like, the staff are just because they're all burnt out and exhausted. So they're just like bullshitting and like taking their sweet ass time. Like, oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, you got a thing there? Okay, well, we'll take care of that in a minute. And then they're just like bullshitting with their coworkers. Like, oh my God, did you see fucking Succession last night? And like fucking whatever. And I'm just sitting there like, because there were some urgent things that needed to be taken care of that they fully did not. So eventually, I just had to do it. Like, I just like was like, like, oh, he needs to go to the bathroom. He can't walk. So I'm like, I need a wheelchair. And they're like, oh, we'll get one. And I'm like, no, I need a fucking wheelchair. And they didn't happen. So like my brother arrived, and my brother's an EMT. So I believe he went out of his way to wear his like EMR hat. So that like they would be like, oh, this is a person who, knows what they're doing, or like it's like firefighting hat or something. So we're just like, we're going to go find a fucking wheelchair, like we go find him. They were like having him like change and shit again in the hallway. My grandfather's a very private person, and he's just out in the fucking hallway surrounded by people walking by and shit. And they're just like, oh, fucking, here's a little bottle to piss in or like whatever. No privacy, nothing. So like whenever he had to like fucking put a like gown on or anything, it just was like, we just stole partitions. Like it was like after a while, we're just like anything he needed, me and Pat just stole. Cause it was like, and they just watched us like they had these like partitions blocking off like the computer areas, and we just like got up and grabbed them, and they're just like, and I'm just like, I didn't even say anything. I'm just like, no, we're taking this. Like, you guys aren't doing your fucking jobs. So we had to do everything. Like everything but like the things you have to do like tests for. So exhausting fucking night. I had been up, I was supposed to sleep that day, but I got like 2 hours of sleep because I had to do all this and take him in. And so I'm there. I'm up till like 2 a.m. at the hospital before my mom came back from, she caught on a flight from Vegas to get over. And luckily it's from Vegas. So that's like a, 2-hour flight, 2.5-hour flight. So she finally comes in. I can go home. I go back, I get some sleep, going to work the next day. Kidney stone!
Sucking dick and cock.
I got a fucking kidney stone! Oh, yeah! Now, I had a kidney stone, and I was at work, and it started hurting real bad, and I've had plenty of kidney stones, so you know I've been around the block. It's one of my funny gags. It's one a classic Sean bit is having just pissing blood and having a kidney stone.
No.
So, but this was a rowdy one. Haven't passed it yet. But my last one, which I believe this is like the same formation as the last one that I had, was in October. And I did have that one. And it did, in fact, look like popcorn chicken. So, give me a second. I'm rusty here.
It's popping.
There it is. Hi, Casey. Hi. So, I am at work. Granted. So, again, my job, I am a what's called a DSP. I'm a direct support professional. I am a support worker for adults with developmental disabilities. The people in my care, I work in people's houses, and they legally cannot be without a provider, whether it be, you know, their family. Like we don't have to be there if they're with family or like if they're at the hospital. But other than that, they need a support worker there at all times. They're in that classification of disability. So I'm at work, and my kidney starts to fucking explode. And I'm just like, I'm good, guys. Just, you know, wait for you guys to go to bed. And then whatever. And so I had some leftover ibuprofen. Well, I always have ibuprofen. But I had some leftover oxycodone from when not only did I had that other kidney stone back in October, but I also had the abscess tooth. You can probably go back in my VODs and find info about that. But I had leftover oxycodone, and I'm not allowed to take that at work, but like, fuck that. So I took it, and like I took the ibuprofen first, and I had like one of those big chunky tablets of like 800 milligrams. Now, the last couple of kidney stones I've had, that was usually enough. Not this time. The ibuprofen did nothing. So I'm texting my on-call people like, hey, I need to go to the hospital. Get somebody over here. And they like could not find anybody. And they're like, sorry, you can't leave. And I'm like, okay, I'm calling an ambulance. Can they stay here? Cause I'm on the floor. Like this is the big, and we'll get to it. This is the biggest kidney stone I've ever had. So I'm like on the floor, like writhing in pain. And it's fucking bad. Possibly the worst I've ever felt. It's tough between that and the abscess tooth, but they're different kinds of pain. If you've had a kidney stone, you know. It's not like, there are probably more intense forms of pain, but the type of pain with a kidney stone is like really unsettling. Like you feel like you're dying. Like it's like the pain from an abscess tooth was definitely worse on like the pain scale, but something about a kidney stone is like, this has to stop now. Like something is fucking wrong. I'm gonna die. Like it is a really just disquieting, like horrible, like it's like sickly pain. It is fucked up. I've heard a lot of comparisons to going into labor. I've heard it's comparable to childbirth. I don't know. If that's the case, then I can say I've given birth like 5 times. If you don't know the anatomy of it, passing it, you'd think, oh, peeing out a rock, you'd think that's the hard part. Nope. No, that's not the hard part. The part that's bad, it turns out, so the urethra is, you know, where it passes out when you go wee-wee, when you do tinkle. But there's another tube in your body that goes from your kidney to your bladder. That is 1/10 the size of your urethra. That's the part that fucking hurts, okay? So, like, the first time I had it, I just thought my kidneys were failing. Like, I was just like, oh, I guess I'm gonna die now and go on to dialysis or something. Because no one told me about that part. No one talks about that. They're just like, oh, you pee out a rock and it's like giving childbirth through your dick, you know? It's like having a baby through your dick. And, no, peeing it out's pretty easy, actually. Like, just take some ibuprofen and you're good. And they have, like, another painkiller that's, like, specific for kidney stones that's, like, even more effective. But so yeah, eventually I'm like, fuck this. Like, and after the ibuprofen did nothing, I took the oxycodone, barely did anything. Yeah. Yeah, no, peeing is like not that. I mean, it does suck. We'll get there because I'm still dealing with it. But yeah, so I call an ambulance because I'm like, I'm not gonna wait.
Thanks for the money, you stupid bitch.
Your resources. Hell yeah.
Damn, son, you're
Yeah, welcome back. Because we had, because I have fucking, no, kidney stone stream. It's story time, fucking baby. I need to talk about where I've been. So, I get the fucking thing and they finally get somebody to come over. And like, first of all, the ambulance comes over and they're like, you can drive, right? I'm like, I can't stand. But then the oxycodone kicked in like right around when they got there. And so I was still in severe pain. Good to be back. But I was still in pain, right? But I was able to like, okay, I can sit up now. I can breathe. I'm still hurting, but I'm like, all right, this gives me enough to like, okay, I can answer questions. And they're like, okay, you just like, listen, you don't want to fucking just go drive to the goddamn, we don't want to waste the goddamn, you know, fire truck on you, pussy. So, and I was like, all right, cool. I just have to wait for somebody to show up so I can leave my job or whatever. So I drove myself to the ER. Told them everything. It's great being autistic in an ER because you just answer all the questions they need. And you just have all the information off the top of your head. You're like, yeah, I've done this, that. It's this type of thing. I've been blah, 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 blah. So I go in there. They do a little, they gave me, what is it? It's a Toradol, I believe is the thing. So they get me on an IV. They get me some liquids and they give me a Toradol in an IV. And that was some good shit. And that finally did the trick, apparently. And they had to wait a bit though, because apparently it's not supposed to mix with ibuprofen. So, but eventually they were like, fuck it. And I was just like, I don't give a fuck. I'm on oxycodone and it isn't enough just to give me whatever the fuck. I don't care. We're in the ER. If I OD, I OD. Y'all got what I need anyway. And but they eventually did that. And we did a quick x-ray and they found 2 stones. They found a 4 millimeter stone in my right kidney, I believe. I believe I might have the right and left part mixed up, but I believe it was, yeah. So I had a 4 millimeter stone in my right kidney and a 2 millimeter stone in my left kidney. Yes. So they sent me home with all the pills and shit. And I was like, give me, I knew I didn't need it, but I was like, okay, oxycodone has worked in the past. They were like, I don't know why they gave you oxycodone. That's not good for kidney stones. And I'm like, what? That's what they gave me every time, and it's worked every time, but I guess not. So they gave me oxycodone just in case, but I'm not supposed to go into work on oxycodone. Yeah. But I was like, well, just in case. So I had them give me that, and I had them give me some Toradol, and that seemed to work. That's it. Morphine and peeing. It's not morphine. They have a specific one. I don't know what makes it different, but it's called Toradol, I believe. I might be pronouncing it wrong, and I have some somewhere. And you can take Flomax as well, which I found out about a funny little side effect that I did not know about previously, that I did not encounter last time. So I can say I am not a fan of Flomax, but they give you a little Flomax, which is like a little, like a dilator thing. It's like a urethral muscle relaxer almost. It's like, they give it to people with like enlarged prostates and shit. So they give you that and that's about it. But like, honestly, that's fine. Just like, don't be too alarmed at pissing blood. Like, that's really all you need. And worst case scenario, though, they can get them surgically removed. Now, mine at 4 millimeters was like, they said there's an 80, which, by the way, every time I go in, they like give me a different number. Like at first they were like, oh, this has about an 80% of passing without intervention. Just take some pain meds and shit. And, but then like I went into like a fucking urologist later and they were like, yeah, it's like a 60-something% chance of passing. So, so they just seem to be really avoidant about possibly, there is still a chance. There's like probably like a 1 in 4 chance I might have to get it surgically removed because the bitch is still there. This was in February. This was all happening over like Valentine's Day weekend. So it's still there. It's being a stubborn little cunt. Like, I don't know. Good question. I wouldn't know. The problem is that it's a rock bouncing around in your bladder that has to fall in a tiny little hole to get through to the urethra. And like, I've done it. I've tried to do it without pain meds before, but in the past, it's like you just pee normally once it moves from the kidney, which is like usually like a day or two process, you're good. Like once you're in it, it's in your bladder, you don't really feel it. But then once it starts to pass, you go to pee and then you're like, well, daggers. Uh-oh, that's not good. And but then it's just like I would take some like ibuprofen or oxycodone if I had any.
Shit.
Oh!
Here comes Pac-Man.
There he is! Why didn't he? There he is. So, but after that, yeah, I don't know. It's like you just, you don't pee. You try to pee and you don't. You just, because there's a rock in the way. And then you wait for the pain meds to kick in and then pee then. And then it just comes right out. And again, this is the biggest one I've had. It's 4 millimeters. So they're generally pretty tiny. The first one I ever passed, I peed in a jar and then I extracted it from the jar and then I dropped it in a shag carpet and lost it and never saw it again. So they're not that big. And so like the peeing part, it's like whatever. And I've had a couple times this time where I've gotten to that point where I'm like, I'm gonna go pee. Uh-oh! And then I take a pain med and then it just doesn't happen. And that's what keeps happening with this one. It's really annoying. Oh fuck, did you guys hear that? Yeah, so that was kind of the kidney stone thing. So I'm dealing with that for a few days. I get my grandpa, they finally get him like stabilized, to get him a room. And that was a whole fucking battle I'm not gonna get into. So that weekend, I've been at my mom's, I haven't been home, and I'm looking forward to it because I am, this is where I'm starting to hit autistic burnout pretty bad, because I was, dealing with like, all the ER shit was very strenuous. There was a bunch of work stuff going on too that I'm not going to get into. And all of this has like a lot of strain on me kind of having to do like executive shit and interact in all of these different new situations, especially ones that are heavily consequential, like being the advocate for somebody's medical needs. So I'm just kind of like, fuck, I'm exhausted. They finally get my grandpa a room. They finally get him out of the hallway. Actually, they got him out of the hallway by the time I left. But so they were like, well, our heart attack guy just died, so there's a room. And yeah, so you'd have to,
That wasn't good.
Presumably. How's the volume on the soundboard? Seems quiet as fuck right now. No, they would have. That it wouldn't have been possible. It would not be possible. Like my grandpa a couple years ago had a kidney stone and he had to get surgery. It doesn't, again, 4 millimeters is like not, it's probably like a gram or two, it's not, if it's like a pound, then that's like as big as your kidney. Way too tolerable. Got it. All right. Let's increase that shit. Actually, hold on. Nope. Don't open Telegram, please. Here you go. Boom. Bam. How about?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
It seems like it's quiet in OBS.
Yeah.
What causes them? Anything fun. Okay, so there is a genetic element. There is a genetic element, but generally the reason I have this and the reason I believe I had one in October is because soda and caffeine. Soda, caffeine, and energy drinks. I believe the first one I got was when I was right before I turned 18, or right around when I turned 18, and I had just started Adderall around. It's right at the end of my senior year of high school, so I was like 17, and it was sometime either like later that summer or like in the fall or something. But I had just started Adderall, and Adderall, dehydrates you, and I didn't compensate. So I was still, even though as soon as I started taking Adderall, I cut a lot of soda and stuff back just because I didn't need the caffeine anymore. But I don't think I kept up with like how much more water you need to drink. And so I believe that was what gave me my first kidney stone. But this one was because Yeah, 6+ millimeters. That's about right. And I'm about 2/3 of the way there. Actually, if you add it together, I'm there. Because I have a 4 millimeter and a 2 millimeter. I have 2 rocks bouncing around in my bladder right now. So, but so I did that. Or, where were we? Yeah, so this one, right. So last year, remember how I got hit with the Adderall shortage, and I went about 8 months without Adderall. Now, like I said, I work graveyard shift. A part of my job as a DSP is that I have to be awake because, like, what if someone has a fucking seizure? You know, somebody needs to be there. I am not allowed to take a nap or anything, and my shifts are either 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. So I needed to stay awake, and when I'm not on Adderall, I'm borderline narcoleptic. Hi, Clarion, welcome! Welcome back to the fucking stream! Oh, shit. Wrong button.
Shit,
I'm rusty, I'm sorry. There it is. Welcome back to the fucking stream! We are both. We're doing some story time. Hi, Gotchi, welcome back. All right, you guys get cows. All y'all get cows. Welcome back! Yeah! We're this is just a little story time to see what I've been up to the past couple months, because there's a lot. You guys probably have already heard most of this stuff because of what I've said so far. I posted about it when it was happening in the my Discord chat. So you guys haven't missed anything that you don't already know about. But basically the reason I believe I got these kidney stones is I believe I had them when I passed the other one back in October, was because I went 8 months without Adderall, and working a graveyard shift where I am legally required to stay awake, I compensated by guzzling the fuck out of 5 immunity. So I was taking. You just missed that part. I didn't go into as much detail. Like, I probably should not have gone into as much detail as I did when I posted it in the Discord server, but I was fucking mad, so let me live. But I was just slamming back every day at work, every shift, just to survive the shift. And it still wouldn't be enough. I would do 2 extra strength 5-hour energies and a Red Bull. Like, when I was like, oh, I just won't have Adderall for the foreseeable future, the next kidney stone's gonna suck, because I knew it was gonna happen, because I was like, I have no other choice. Yeah, no, I was drinking water too. It wasn't enough. Like, that's just, no one should do that. I was drinking like I was drinking a Panera lemonade that kills you in a half, like, every night to survive. And so I'm presuming that is why I have these kidney stones right now. And like, I believe they formed over that period, and I believe they were there in my kidneys. They just they haven't broken off from my kidney in October yet. I think the one I passed in October was probably just a piece of one of these two. So after that, I'm like, that Sunday, Grandpa's in a room. I have all my shit taken care of in my, parents' house, and finally I'm good to go home. And I was so fucking exhausted. I get off work Monday, and I was working at 12. Right now they have me working 12s Sunday night into Monday. So I'm fucking burnt out as shit, and I get home. In fact, actually, let me do something here really quick. I might have video for this. I might have a fun little video time. In fact, let me look here. I might still have the video of it. So I get home to a silly little thing, a silly little situation. You'd think, let me look here. Go to my channel. Do I have it? Is it going to show up? It's unlisted on my channel. I might have deleted it though, because yeah, it might be unlisted, or it might not show up here. I might have to go to YouTube Studio. How did Jesus shit? Oh, I see what you. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, hold on. Give me a second. I gotta remember the buttons.
That was
there we go.
Extremely fucking funny.
There you go. So, let me go here to Studio. Where's YouTube Studio? There it is. I'm hoping I still have it. I might have removed it. So I come home. There it is. There it is. Give me just a second here. Here's a glimpse of some fucking juicy late capitalism here. Check this out. I was gonna, if they didn't fix this immediately, I was gonna put them on blast and post this everywhere on social media. We're gonna move over here really quick. So this is what happened.
So
do I have
this is
audio?
on the other side of the wall to my apartment.
There.
There's this big storage room, right? That right there, that door is the laundry room. My bedroom is on the other side of this wall. And today I got home. I've been away for a week. And my carpet was soaked. Right? Check this out. Go ahead and zoom in here. We have been complaining about flooding in the hallway for 4 years!
This was so real. I was this mad.
4 years! And because it's not in our apartment, we haven't been able to do anything about it. Okay? This is leaking out into the hallway. I'll show you. There's mushrooms growing out of the fucking hallway. Okay? And I've been away for a week. There's no way I could have caught this.
Also,
Just an open pipe dumping fucking water. How long has this been here?
So, really, like, another thing is, this is, I'm not this is usually locked. I can't get to this room usually. This is just like, somebody left it open. This is the only reason I found out about this. So, peep the fucking survival horror Silent Hill ass apartment I live in. This is storage that you can rent and pay for.
Let me show you the hallway.
Half of these people, half of the people whose stuff is in this room are dead. Like, they have to be dead. There's no way. A lot of people die in this building.
Nice keyboard. Nice monitor.
But this door is usually locked. And yeah, when we started, alerted them of the flooding, like, again, 4 years ago, it was 2020. They never fixed it. They just got rid of the carpet because we were getting sick from mold. Like, that is how cool it is living in an apartment in fucking the, 2020s. I think I go into my room here at this, but, like, look at this water damage.
Look at this water damage. Look at these mushrooms. Look at these mushrooms. The mushrooms, these are from like about a year ago. They have since died and new mushrooms have grown on top of the mushrooms. That's where we're at.
No, I wasn't kidding. They're
That's
actual
where we're at
mushrooms.
in this fucking building. Let me show you my room. All right. Let me see if you can hear this. Look at these wet spots. My whole room smells like
shit,
piss.
don't look. I posted feet. Yeah. So this is what I came home to. Was like,
Piss? Where the fuck is this coming?
yeah.
Alright.
So
Let me see if you can hear this. Look at these wet spots.
clock the
whole room
cell block
smells like
13
piss.
underwear.
Where the fuck is this coming? Is this coming from the fucking hallway? It is soaked from underneath. I know my room's a wreck, but like, for fuck's sake.
And it is, for the record, is a wreck because, like, before all of this happened, I was in the middle of like a huge cleaning project, and in the time being, we just like put everything that we didn't have time to throw out yet on my bed. So like my bed was like, everything is my room is always a disaster. I'm literally a hoarder. But this was like, everything was front loaded. Like the actual back area where I do like this area, this part of my room was actually pretty clean right here. But yeah, that was why. Yeah, so that was what I came home to. So I'm in like an autistic burnout. I'm very stressed out because my grandfather is dying. And they moved him into after that they moved him into hospice. Which he, I think he kind of, I think, made a decision. Like, my grandpa was a weirdly resilient person. Like, he would, like, after, I believe, the kidney stone thing, or maybe it was, like, another thing, like, around when they hadn't caught the cancer yet, they did, like, he had to go in for some, like, kidney troubles, or, like, he had, like, a kidney infection or something, and then, like, afterwards, they were like, oh, he's gonna need, like, a kidney replacement, or, like, whatever, and then they tested his kidneys afterwards, and he had the kidneys of, like, a 30-year-old. Like, the numbers were, like, better than my mom's. Like, his kidneys were great, but it was, you know, after this, he just was, like, with the cancer, and again, the only thing was that he had... When he did chemo, he had a really bad reaction to it, like a rare reaction where like it basically just gave him like fibromyalgia, you know? And apparently whatever he had was like a specific rare reaction. So he just was in like the worst pain he'd ever been in his life all over his whole body. Chemo sucks. Chemo always sucks, but it was like, no, something's wrong, right? You know? So that was why they had ceased treatment. And he just knew that like next time he went in, it was going to be the same shit, you know, it was going to be that over and over again. So I could tell when he got to the hospital, he was just like, you know what? I'm done. Put me in hospice. We're good. I'm ready to go. So he, other fun fact, that was also a battle. I completely forgot about that. I have fucking notes. I have a notes app document of all the shit that's happened since I've been gone, right? Like, this is basically going to be like a stand-up stream for a while. We have video games planned, by the way, but we'll get to them. So while we were in the ER, guess who pays a visit? It's Mrs. Rona with the steel chair! Fucking damn it! No! Fucking OBS glitch that I still haven't fixed, fucking up my joke. God damn it. Anyway, Miss Rona. So he gets fucking COVID in the ER. So now I'm on COVID lockdown because I need to find out if I have fucking COVID. I didn't. I tested negative immediately, so I had to everyone except him tested negative. So I think it was just, you know, I was just like, wow, way to show up just to make somebody's last days fucking suck a little more. So there was a whole fiasco where like now all of a sudden like the hospice place we had like planned in advance like wouldn't take him. Like they even had a COVID ward, but so then that was a whole fucking battle. But you know, I think he was just kind of like, I'm ready to go. And like I said, he got diagnosed, and when they found it was stage 4, which even that was a fiasco, getting them to even check for cancer, even though he'd like obviously had cancer or something. Like they just wouldn't do any tests because they were like, oh, he's 82, who gives a shit? Like, or 84, I think. And yeah, bad grandson over here. I don't even know my grandpa's fucking age. But he like, yeah, he was 84. Yeah, like they didn't they just wouldn't check. They would be like, oh, whatever, and they just like leave him in a hospital with jaundice and like unconscious for days until my mom was like, hey, you don't fucking do that. Like, he needs help. He's not like this normally. Like, but yeah, he just, after that, it was like, you know, we had to go through that whole process, but he just was like, you know, get, cancer diagnosis. Exactly. By the way, those mushrooms are still there. We could go out there right now and I could show them to you. And they used to be like growing up and out. Like, it's so awesome. It's so awesome, but this is the only place where I can afford rent. Yeah. I bought a bong in the meantime. That's cool. That's some good news. We'll get there probably. I don't know. So, okay. So, yeah, he went into hospice, you know, and it was just kind of like, you know, get the family around to like come over and say goodbye. I got to spend some more time with them. And then he just kind of was like, I'm ready to go. Like, there was a couple times where he's just like, hey, Del Rey, what's my mom's name? He's like, can you drive me to Mexico real quick and just fucking kill me? Like, I'm good. Yeah. But it was cool. The cool thing is, like, he had explicitly, like, was just like, I just don't want my, like, he was a very private person. So, like, me having to do all that shit in the ER was like, farmers are super allergic to these spores, you know what I mean? Oh, don't worry, I'm allergic as fuck. I'm sick all the time. You can probably hear my congestion right now. It's not safe to live here. Like, as soon as I got home, first of all, I'm like, oh, I'm severely allergic to cats and forgot. Like, until I was sitting here with my, because I don't even get to go home yet for the, you know, first of all, I'm like, yeah, like, I don't even get to go home yet for a while after this, because first of all, we get home to the fucking flooding, right? So I have to go in and they like, finally, they actually treated it like an emergency. Now, granted, they did get annoyed because I texted them on multiple different platforms. I was like, text my manager's personal number, text the hotline, call her, leave an email, whatever. And they did get like, for the record, next time, just call me here. It'll be quicker. And it's just like, no, this is like, every time I do that, you guys complain and whine at me about like, stop waking me up. Like, and so they actually did send some people over, but I had to like, all that mess you saw, I had to like rapidly clean it out and like get everything so they had access. There's another video I have. In fact, I might pull up Telegram here because I have, I might have it saved already. Do I? Save messages. Let me look here. Because I do have another video of, let me go ahead and send this to myself really quick here so I can show you guys. But I have another video of like, that shows more of the damage because I didn't show how much. It was like basically that, like that whole half of the room. Like, it was rough. And I have another video where you get like a more of an extent of the damage, but I have to find it. Where is it? There's a bunch of videos of my niece. There it is. This is my, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up Telegram here really quick. Spray vinegar or something. I mean, we've done some stuff. It's especially not a good place to live when you are literally a hoarder like I am. So let me go back. We'll go back over here real quick. This was like how bad it did get. All of that's water. Yeah, like it wasn't good. So I had to clear everything out so that they could get people over to like suck it up and then like dehydrate my room because like I got it and it fucking reeked when I got in there. Like it smelled like mildew and like mold and like piss for some reason. Like at first I was like, did the cats get in here and like piss all over the fucking carpet the week I was gone? But it was like, no, the door was closed and it was like this is freshly wet. And then like I was watching the spots like form because it was underneath. So once I stepped on it, it started like the carpet started making contact with the water. And so just these little circles of dampness were just spreading. So I had to like figure all of that shit out. Well, I'm already like stressed because like my grandpa's dying. I have a kidney stone. I'm like socially and sensory, like overwhelmed, like fucking crazy. And then I can't go home. So like I'm in a foreign place. So I was like, okay, at this point I was like planning on coming back to streaming like the next week. Like I was going to be like 2 weeks off, take a break. And then like, you know, I was going to be gone for like a month. Right. But this one I was like, well, I guess I'm going to be gone a lot longer. So, yeah. So this all happened and it's just, it took a while for them. And then once they did, I still had to do like a bunch of cleaning because like the smell didn't go away. It took them like 5 or 6 days to once they like vacuumed everything up. But I kept, because again, my room is a disaster. We can get into why. There are reasons why, I promise. But we would be here even longer. And so I have to clean everything up and then like I still have to find where all the smells are. So I'm like soaking it with baking soda, vacuuming, lighting candles and shit. It's still like there are parts I can still smell that are like off, like when I'm laying in bed and I don't know where it is, but it got basically around that entry area up to my closet, which you can see back there. Well, not right now, but like you could see earlier, like that closet, it got right about to that closet. That pipe you see that little like corner where the wall like has that little octagonal like diagonal spot, that like the other side of that, like that was where that little alcove was, where that pipe was. So that pipe was on the other side of that wall. So it was dumping straight into my bedroom. And so I have to spend like a bunch of days like sorting that out. And I keep going home and finding out like, nope, the moisture's still there. So like every day that people would come back and be like, is it clean yet? And I'd be like, nope, gonna have to wait another day. And then like, so that all happened. And then, so when I finally could come back home, I just had a bunch of cleaning projects. And then I was like, I need some more time to recover. I need some time if I was doing better financially, I would have taken medical leave, but because I was like, I'm hitting that like burnout stage where I'm like forgetting how to do shit and like having a hard time being verbal or like showing emotion on my face or like remembering having short-term memory loss and shit. Like one of those days, like I went over to a friend's house and I don't remember anything that happened. They were like, you were being a real bitch. And I was like, I probably was. I don't remember anything. I remember that I came over. I don't remember anything that happened or anything I said. I was like, I'm very overwhelmed, so I'm sorry if I'm being a huge cunt. And then like my friend Wolven was just like, yeah, no, you were being like, it was getting annoying. Like you were being a really huge bitch last time. And I'm like, sorry, I don't remember it. Like, I don't remember anything. Like, so that was like, I spent another couple weeks recovering. So then eventually, my grandfather passes away. And so then we have to, and I'm having to be there for my mom too, because like my mom was really close to him, and because of like my grandma passed away in 2020, and but she had dementia, so there was like a 5-year period. Like when somebody has dementia, like the grieving process is really weird. By the time they die, you've probably already grieved. So, but like she never really had time to process that. So because it went basically from that to like taking care of my grandfather. So it's like all of it's hitting her. So I'm having to spend a lot of time like being there for my mom and whatnot. She needs the help around the house, and she's just like having to get his affairs in order, which have been a fucking nightmare because we, like that fucking, there's a Golden Girls episode. This is how long it's been this bad in America, where like they go to a fucking homeless shelter and they find another old lady that they like grew up with. And she's like, there's a whole monologue about how she's like, nobody told me that like it's one thing to outlive all your loved ones, but nobody told me that it was going to be a punishment, that you'd get punished for being old. I didn't mean to put a laugh track. It's very bad. It's not good.
That wasn't good.
But like, so getting his affairs in order is a fucking nightmare. And, she's having to like lie to the banks and tell them he's not dead so that they keep giving her access to them. Even though like it was all like she is the inheritor, she has the power of attorney. It's all like to go to her. But like it was like that with the same bank for like a friend of my mom's. And then when that friend's like dad died, they just locked his account and they still can't get to his money. And that was like 4 years ago. Because they're just like, I don't know, he's dead and you're not him, you can't do it. And it's just like, what are you doing? Selling it? Like, are you putting it in stock? Like, this is a bad country. I hate this fucking place. So, so a couple things came out of this. One, we got a decent inheritance. So that's cool. But my mom had a pretty nice car that she used to drive. And it was a Ford Escape. It was a pretty nice car. And in his last years, she gave that to him, but he never drove it. So then now with him dying, and it was like, so it had like a good bunch of miles on it, but my mom loved that car. So she kept it in like perfect condition. She, oh yeah. No, fuck America. This is a fuck America space. I hate this fucking country more than anything on earth. It needs to be wiped off the fucking map. Well, maybe not that much, because then the genocide of the natives would be finished, and we don't want that. But God, this needs to be dismantled yesterday. Jesus fucking Christ. If you didn't know this is a revolutionary communist stream, welcome. So we have this car, right? My mom's like, hey, I'm giving you the Ford Escape. I'm giving you the old car. My mom kept it in perfect condition. I found out she took it to the car wash every week. That's crazy. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sure you love the car, but once a week, and she kept it in the garage, so it's not like it even got like pollen and shit on it. Why are you taking it once a week? So she kept it in like new condition the whole time. It's like a 2013. So it has a lot of miles, but it's in perfect condition. She's like, I'm giving you the car. I want it, but I'm giving it to you because I don't know, my fucking Pontiac sucked shit. And so she had somebody that like was in like a family friend who like, one of her close friends had like a brother who was like a recovering drug addict who'd been clean for like 2 years and was like getting his life back together and needed a car. So she's like, hey, do you want to sell it or do you want to get rid of it? Because if not, then I have somebody who would use it. So we're like, all right, cool. An excuse to get rid of my fucking Pontiac that I hated and get a new car. So, all right, great. So we do everything. This was like a Monday. We get the title put in my name. We put it on my insurance. We go to the DOL to get all like, you know, put under my name, which is a fucking hassle and a half. And then we, you know, she goes over to, and my grandparents lived in Moses Lake, which is in Eastern Washington. It's about 5 hours away from where I live. So she's like, hey, we're going to the house to get it ready for the estate sale over the weekend. You're going to have to stay and watch the house, which is another reason I haven't been able to come back, because they keep having to go over to, you know, their place and sort their affairs and whatnot. And I need to watch the house. And he also had a dog that we have to take care of now. So I'm over there dog sitting and taking care of the house. And she's like, yeah, so we put it all in my insurance, added it to my insurance, added the ownership to put the ownership in my name. And then she leaves to Eastern Washington to go get it. And then, so the first like day she's there, hello, sorry for bothering you. I want to offer promotion of your channel, viewers, followers, views, chatbots, etc. The place is lower than any competitor. The quality is guaranteed to be the best. Ah! Ah! Get the fuck up. So she gets everything in my name. We got it added to my insurance, whatever. And then she drives over that day. The first day she's there, she's like, oh my God, she's texting me like, I love driving my car again. Oh, I'm so jealous that you get to drive this car. Right? Anyway, and so she's like, she keeps just rubbing it in like, oh, you're probably so excited. Oh, I love my car, you know? And I'm just like, yeah, I'm sure you do. And so I have to go back to work that month, or that, it's like a Thursday, and I have to go to work. So I'm asleep, and I get a phone call at like 4 p.m. And she's like, hey, Sean, I'm so fucking sorry. Can you call your insurance? I rear-ended somebody in the car. So the day after, we put everything in my name, added to my insurance, and then she rear-ends somebody in Moses Lake, Washington. So it is 4 p.m. I have to be at work at midnight. And now I have to do like 2 hours of calls. So I have to call my insurance and be like, yep, hello. Hey, yeah, this is Sean Peden. I need to make a claim. Yeah, so you know that car I added to my name yesterday? Somebody else rear-ended it 200 miles away. Or rear-ended somebody in it 200 miles away. And they're like, were you driving? No. What? Like, they just were like, okay, hold on. So I'm like, I am not going to do any of this shit. I'm just like, listen, it was in Moses Lake. We put it in my name. My mom was over there just to get it and bring it back to me. I'm going to just call you. She was still at the scene. So I'm just like, fuck this. I'm just putting it on fucking three-way call. I'm like, listen, she'll fucking tell you everything. Yeah. She ran into one of them. As soon as she called me, I got off the phone and just started laughing. Because I'm like, of course. I rear-ended somebody in your new car. And this was also, another thing. The day before, we got rid of my car. Or no, we had to get it. No, never mind. I got the days mixed up. I was going to say, we just got rid of my car too. But we ended up doing that on the Monday when she got back. She didn't do that much damage. The airbag didn't even deploy. More on that later. So we have to do all this fucking fiasco, right? And she was texting, by the way. Don't tell the insurance, but she was texting. That's why. Something I have given her shit about since I was in high school. Howdy. Hey, Shantae, welcome. You're on Hunter's account. Nice. I'm doing a little story time. It's a story time stream. It's been an hour and I haven't played a video game yet. This is just a stand-up routine, baby. So the good news was she was like, she had braked and shit. It was just that like, the way she told the story, she was like, I braked, I saw the car. It was like a line of cars, like braked all at once. Didn't have time to whatever. Would have veered out of the way. Yeah, would have veered out of the way, but there was another car in the other lane. She told that to me, and I'm kind of like, sure, Jan. Sure, mother. I'm sure there was another car that stopped you, and I'm sure you weren't texting Michelle. Like, she didn't even tell me that until like 2 weeks later, and I just was like, but I knew it. I was just like, you're fucking texting Aunt Michelle or some shit, weren't you? But, so luckily there's like barely any damage to the car, so she probably hit it. Like, the airbag didn't even deploy. It's just a whole fucking fiasco, so I gotta, like, do this insurance shit, right? So they keep me on the call because the situation is so, like, yeah, the car that I added yesterday that's in my name, yeah, someone else wrecked it 5 hours away. And so that call takes like 2 hours, and then they have to do it with like the other person or whatever. And then the other person apparently had the same insurance as me. So that basically happened to the car. And so it wasn't that bad, but we had to take like 2 hours. So then I'm like, cool, my work day's fucked up. I think I was back on Adderall at this point though, so like it wasn't that bad, but it was like, cool, great. So she comes home that Monday. That Monday we like give the car away and whatnot, and then it's just like, because like the car drove fine. There's like the bumper was a little bit cracked and like a little bent in, but it, you know, she drove it over the pass and it was fine. So it's like, cool, whatever. So we took it out of my name. We took it out of my name, or we took my other car out of my name, like gave it to the, you know, did the exchange or whatever with the other guy. And as we're driving back, my mom's like, oh, let's swing by the auto body shop and just get like an estimate of like, you know, what we're going to need to do. So we go to this one, like that's on the way home, and I'm exhausted at this point because this was after another 12-hour shift, and it's like 3 p.m. and I'm like, whatever. I'm so fucking exhausted. Like, so like, sure, whatever, one more thing, it'll take like 2 seconds, right? So we pull into the auto body shop and we're like, hey, do you take this insurance? And they were like, hold on, we do, but they have to do the thing. And it's like the auto body shop we usually go to. And they're like, Progressive has to do, it's like, my parents have Safeco insurance. I'm on Progressive because I used to be on Safeco, but I let my fucking payments lapse. So I got kicked off of that and had to switch to Progressive. And I don't like them.
No.
Very much. Do not like Progressive. Because so we get there and they're like, oh, well, it's Progressive. They have to contact us first. So then we call Progressive to be like, hey, so we're sitting in the car. And I was like, hey, so you know, we wanted to check, we're at this auto body shop. We needed to check and see if you, you know, could do this for our claim, you know, for the car we had the claim on. They're like, oh, okay, hold on. Can we pull up your claim number? And I was like, yeah. And then I was like, yeah, so like, what's the damage? Is it this or whatever? And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, like, and I was just like, well, hold on. I mean, my mom would know better. Like, she was driving the vehicle and they were like, wait, someone else was driving the vehicle? Hold on a minute. And then like put me on hold for like 10 minutes and then came back like, okay, we need to ask you some questions. And I'm like, don't you have this written down? What were you doing the other 2-hour phone call? What are you talking? So they made us do the whole report again. Like the whole thing. Even though they were like, they had my claim on file. Why did you ask those questions if you didn't write them somewhere? So I had to do the whole thing. And I'm like, I'm so fucking pissed off and exhausted. Oh, and by the way, we're giving the car away. Last thing we do, as we're leaving, we're about to leave the parking lot. We're chatting. This is like a family friend or whatever. And somehow the fucking, the Kia boys in Tacoma came up in conversation. I'm like, yeah, well, they just fucking, like, if that car gets stolen, they'll just post it on TikTok. I won't have to do anything. And then, like, my mom is like, oh, why don't they do something about that? And then the other people were like, yeah, because they got defunded. I'm like, yeah. Remember that when we did defund the police? Remember how that successfully happened for sure? And they definitely didn't get a raise? So like right off the bat, I'm like, oh, you're those kinds of people. You're racist people. And I just gave you my car. Cool. Which I'm like, whatever, but I'm already just kind of like, all right, cool. Well, I am no longer interested in whatever the rest of this conversation is. So like I'm already pissed off. I'm already exhausted and I don't want to do any more errands, but I'm like, fine, this is one last thing. Bam! 2-hour or fucking hour-long phone call with my insurance because apparently they don't know how to write any fucking thing down. So like, so that happens. And then like, you know, the auto body shop people are like, well, here's our card. I don't know. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I go home. I can finally go the fuck to bed. I think I can finally go back home at this point. So I go back home, even though it stinks like fucking mold in my room. So, yeah. So fast forward a little bit. I think the other next couple weekends, I still couldn't stream because I'm still burnt out. I'm still on like shut down most of the time. And my mom is still, you know, sorting through my grandpa's affairs. So I keep having a house sit. So I keep having to go down there. So eventually we find a shop to look at it and, you know, get a estimate of the damage and whatnot. And like I said, it's like a crack in the bumper. It's bent in a little bit, but it doesn't look like there's no noticeable difference when driving. The alignment seems fine. Nothing seems fucked up. So it's like, whatever. It's just like a cracked bumper. We'll get that fixed. It's fine. We take it in. We find a shop and bring it in. And then I have to go get a rental and the rental it was like a Hyundai, which is on the BDS block list, but I was like, whatever, I'm not paying for this shit. Like, I don't know, who gives a shit. But I also can't go home with a Hyundai because you can just steal those like very easily. It's like the same thing with Kias. So I'm like, I'm not gonna leave that in Tacoma. I got my car broken into a month and a half ago. Like, and but we get there, they, first of all, they're like, yeah, we'll give you an estimate, but it's like, we have to leave for the funeral the next week. So we're like, hey, they're like, oh, by the way, if we tell you it's ready and you don't come pick it up, we'll have to charge you every day that you don't pick it up. And I'm like, well, I'm about to go to North Dakota for a funeral. So, I would like to know that estimate soon, please. It takes them like 5 days. And, the day before we leave, we're like, and again, this is like a cracked bumper. Most of my friends, like, I drove it by myself for a couple days, and like I went to some friends' houses and they like didn't notice that it was damaged. Like, I was just like, oh, this is a car. There you can see the damage. Like, oh, I forgot it was in your mom wrecked it, you know? And so then we finally like call them like the day before we're supposed to leave for North Dakota. And they're like, okay, well, we'll get an estimate at some point. And that was the day I had to return the rental car because I didn't want to pay for a rental while I'm in North Dakota. And again, we were assuming that the fixes are going to be easy. So we're just like, whatever. I'm driving there, and then while I'm driving, I get a text alert that says like, hi, I'm so-and-so from Progressive to discuss the total loss of your vehicle.
No.
Like, I'm like, oh, total. I'm assuming they mean like the damages. And then like I pull up to get gas, and then he calls me and he's like, hey, I'm here to discuss your total loss of the vehicle. And I'm like, oh. And I'm like, total loss? What the fuck are you talking about? And like, excuse me.
Hold on, pause this shit.
And like, I'm making this. And like, I'm making this. Oh, did I unmute the stream? I did. That's. And like, so like, we did we're at the car rental place. We're at the Enterprise rental. We just gave the keys back, and he calls us to let us know that apparently it's fucking totaled. And like, so, which I'm also baffled by, because when we moved the title in my name, when my mom was looking up prices just to like, because, just considering it and like how to do all that shit, like she looked up the value and like the most she could get for a price. Yeah. So it means that after this, I am convinced it is deliberately named in a misleading way. I am convinced of that because it is a total loss, as of the cost of repairs to the car will cost more than the value of the car. So if you have like a $200 car with a bunch of parts that aren't made anymore, you could get like a light dent and it could be totaled because it's like, or apparently any car made after 2009, as we are about to discuss, like, because everything is a fucking iPad now. Like you could do barely any damage and it's technically totaled. But when we transfer the title in my name, like my mom had looked up the value of the car and all she could get for it was like $2,000 or something. So we get to the DOL and they're like, oh, our thing says the value is $9,500. And we're like, what? And I'm like, yeah. So now I have to pay the taxes and fees on like a $9,500 car, which is like $800 instead of going in there and just doing it with like $20 like we had planned or whatever. So I'm like, you're telling me that the repairs for the cracked fender, and it's like 1.5 inch crack, like barely visible, and a tail light was out unrelated to the accident. Like, you're telling me that cost $9,500 to fix? And they're like, no. See, and by the way, so then he proceeds to tell me, and like, well, we'll get there, but he tells me like, oh, there's a little, first of all, the value we got. Yeah, they were like, we looked up the value and the value we got was $7,000. And we're like, actually, Ellen, that's not the truth. So I'm like, are you fucking sure? And I'm sitting here and we're on speakerphone and my mom's there with me. And she is like I'm being a cunt, rightfully so. Like my mom was there like to like just accept it. And like, I was already in like in a bad mood from like other shit that was happening. And I'm just like, what the fuck do you mean it's totaled? And like, and like I'm trying to push back. My mom's like, stop. No, stop. Like, I've got this. Yeah, what is that? I don't, and just kind of going along. And I'm trying to push back. And like my mom like is like not letting me because she can tell how fucking mad I am. And I'm like, what do you mean? We literally just got the title put in my name and they valued it at $9,500. What do you mean? Where did you? And he's like, that's just the sources we get. So what he tells me is that it's totaled because one, like, there's apparently a box that carries the radiator that got cracked, and that apparently costs like $2,000 to replace. And if I don't have it, then the radiator could just fall out of the car at any moment. And he said like the bumpers and all of that shit, everything else also added up to like over fucking, so that's a $2,000 part to replace. Everything else allegedly somehow still, like, this still doesn't add up. Because I'm like, you're telling me that the barely cracked bumper, you could just pull that out with a strong enough guy. You don't even need equipment. You could yank that bitch out, just attach it to another truck and go a little bit. Like, you mean to tell me that costs $5,000? So they're sitting there telling me, like, they're going over, so here are your options, and they just like offhandedly mention I can keep the car, but then they're just going into detail of like, you can get rid of the car, we'll give you this, that with like a payment where it's like you'll get like $2,000 is like a, because it's like the value of the thing plus whatever we get at auction minus the charges of the damage or something like that, whatever, this fucking bullshit, whatever you go over when they total a car. And I'm like, no, we're not. No, what do you mean? We're going there after this phone call. We're going to the fucking auto body shop because bullshit, right? And they're sitting there just trying to sell me on why I have to get rid of this car now. They're like, it's done. It's over. No more car. And I'm like, I literally, like 4 days ago, just got rid of my other car. I don't have a car. I need a car. Like, what do you fucking mean? And then my mom is like trying to make me feel better because she's like, well, I mean, it had a lot of miles on it. And she's like, well, maybe you can get a new car. And I'm like, no, I fucking can't! With $2,000? What the fuck car am I gonna get? Like, I just want one that, like, why? Why is this happening? And she's like, well, they have to make a profit. And I'm like, why do you think I'm mad? Like, I know! Like, it's like, I have an autism thing. I don't even call it an autism thing. It's a backbone thing. Where I know I'm being scammed. I know I'm being played, but I'm not a car guy, so I don't know the details. I can't just be like, this is bullshit. I'm not Pickles. I'm not our friend Pickles, so I can't just be like, Cap. But I'm like, I know you're lying to me, and I know this is done. Everything in America, every single thing is done in a way specifically to be as obfuscated and complicated as possible because every single thing is a scam. Like, every single thing in America is to fucking get you to do it wrong and take as much money from you as they can. So they're sitting there telling me about how they have to auction off my car and strip it for parts. And I'm just like, you're lying. You're lying. Nothing you said added up to the damage that was visible. And it's like, I know sometimes like structural damage might not show immediately, but I'm like, this car was visibly fine. The fucking airbag didn't deploy. Like, what do you mean? So we go there. It's stripped completely. And keep in mind, again, my mom kept this car in parking lot new condition, like auto mall new condition. Hi, Itachi, welcome. We're in a story time. God, I was hoping I'd be done ranting like after a half hour, but we're still going and it's like an hour and a half. Jesus. Yeah. Like we get back to the auto body shop and they like stripped it for parts. And again, like I said, my mom kept this in like new condition. And in order to take all of the parts off to inspect it, hi Lava, welcome. Yeah. Everyone's gotten a good amount of cows, so I've had a fun time the past 2 months. I've had a fun 2 months. Yeah. So like we get there and it's like all of the parts that they had to take off to inspect it because they legally had to, they broke. Like they broke it off and they were like, well, we can't just put it back on because it's broken now because we had to. So that's another $1,000 of damage. So I'm like, oh, you totaled it. So you totaled it. Fuck. Like, And then like they took the bumpers and shit off and just put them in the back. Like with all the dirt and shit. So like this like brand factory clean carpet is just covered in dirt and shit now. And they shoved all my shit aside. And I'm like, oh my God. But so we get there and they were like, yeah, we're sorry and all of this stuff. But then like they were also being not mean, but they were being robots. Like they were being very robotic. Like, yeah, sorry. Well, anyway, I would be upset too. But anyway, so this is whatever. Remember, the guy told me that the casing for the radiator had broken and the radiator was going to fall out at any minute. No. Actually, Ellen, that's not the fucking truth. Shocker. The part in question was a flap that is in front of the radiator that when it is cold, it is like a vent that closes and increases aerodynamics when it's like under like 40 degrees or something and gets you like an extra mile to the gallon. And apparently Ford made fucking one of. So there's no parts on the market and to get one made is $2,000. You don't even need the part. There's no structural damage, everything else. And they're like, so I'm like, okay, so it's totaled because of all the shit you broke and this fucking iPad accessory. Okay. All right, I'll just, light your building on fire or whatever. It's fine. Yeah, so but then they were like, now, there is a mechanic next door. Here's their card. You should go to them. And I'm like, fuck you. No. Who gives a fuck? I'm like, I'm not listening to anything you fucking idiots say. But we do it. My mom is there. And I'm like, I'm nonverbal right now. They were like, oh, it's his car. And I'm like, yeah. And like, my mom is like sitting there, like trying to make me feel better. And I'm like, I hope you understand. Like, Mom, keep in mind, my mom felt horrible. This is still her fault. So I'm like, Mom, you have to understand, I am just going to be mad. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing either of us can do. I'm burnt out. I'm in shutdown. I'm just going to be mad. Okay. There's nothing we can I'm just not going to talk for a while and then I'll feel better eventually. Okay. That's it. There's nothing. So we're there. We pull it in we walk next door to the mechanic shop. We explain the situation. And again, I'm not talking because I'm just like, no, I'm just not going to speak. I'm not going to speak to anybody right now. I have nothing. Cause if I do, I'm going to scream. And so, yeah, like, I'm just like, I can't really think anymore. I'm in a full autistic shutdown, but we go there and they come back around and they go into the lot and they look at it and they're like, that fucking thing? You don't even need that. They're like, this is all extremely fixable. They left the fucking thing back there? Yeah, we can just put that back up. Oh, and the bumper, by the way, the bumper was just like the outer, it wasn't the actual bumper. The actual bumper was fine. Like, it was just the kit, like the body kit. Like, it was purely aesthetic. And that was only cracked. Like, you could just put it the fuck back on. That's it. So they're like, we could fix this for like $2,000. Like, what do they mean? They're like, this is totaled? How the fuck is this totaled? What? And again, when it's totaled, let me go to the Progressive app right now. I'm going to look this up. So this is what they tell you. Like when you get a car totaled, when a car is totaled, you can keep the car, right? You can keep the car. But as for what happens to the insurance, no fucking idea. It is still covered, but you do. And in the title, you have to get a title change. You have to get it inspected by a sheriff to make sure it's safe for driving. Why the fuck you need a sheriff to do that? Who fucking knows? Shout out to the police state. But let me look at here. Let me look up. And let me go to Progressive and search what to do when your car is totaled. Progressive. What happens when your car is totaled? So it's like they have this thing, and you're not gonna be able to see it because but it's like how to determine if your car is totaled. Blah 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 blah. And it's like, how is your total vehicle covered on your policy? And it's like, if another driver is at fault in the instance. Anyway, they go like page and page and page and page and page, like scrolling. And there is like one paragraph that's like, oh, also you can keep the car if you want, but you get less money back. And then they, whatever. And then they just go on about like all the things they're going to do to your totaled car and like how they're going to get rid of it and how they're going to like take the parts out. And so they're like, your car is done. It's our car now. But I guess you can keep it if you want. I don't know. But I wouldn't. I wouldn't because it's not safe. The radiator's going to fall out. And then they're like, so I go there and they're like, just fucking leave it here. I'm like, okay. So then that all happens. And like, we leave it with those mechanics and they were all cool. They were normal. They were the first normal people I'd interacted with that weren't a fucking vampire. And, so we leave the car with them. And that night, we leave for our flight to North Dakota for my grandfather's funeral at 1:30 a.m. So now I ended up that night. I was up pretty later than I meant to. I meant to go to bed pretty early, but I was just like, you know what? I couldn't really sleep, and I was like on my phone, and like I had some like inertia things happening where I just like couldn't stop. Shut up! And so I'm like, you know what? It's gonna be a flight to North Dakota. It's probably not going to be that long. I forgot that we had a connecting flight in Denver because there's like one airport in North Dakota and it's fucking tiny. And, but I'm like, you know what? Who cares? It's a flight. I'll sleep on the flight. We were leaving at 1:30 to SeaTac, which is like 40 minutes from my mom's house. And, like the flight leaves at 4:20. The flight was at 4:20 a.m. So I'm like, whatever. I'll just be hanging out. And I'll sleep on the plane. So I ended up getting like an hour and a half of sleep. Now, before I fall asleep, I start getting like hunger pangs, right? Like I'm like really hungry and I'm like, fuck, well, I don't want to if I eat now, I'm not going to sleep well and I'm going to get indigestion. So I'll just eat in the morning. I wake up in the morning exhausted. And I was like, oh, I just won't take my Adderall so I can sleep on the plane. And then I'll just be passed out from not taking Adderall. It's going to be fine. So I wake up for the flight and I'm exhausted. Fucking starving, and I go upstairs and I only really have time to like, because I had to pack everything up really quick, and I only really have time to eat like a little bit of yogurt. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to SeaTac. It's one of the biggest airports in the country. There's food everywhere. It'll be fine. I'll have time to eat. Okay. And like on the way, I was like, maybe I'll ask to stop, but I'm sure they have like a parking spot scheduled and like a shuttle that they don't want to miss. So I'm like, I'm not gonna bother. Whatever. In the car, my mom was like, oh hey, I have some motion sickness pills, some Bonine, whatever that one is. It used to be like really tasty. When I was a kid, I used to take them a lot, and they always were like strawberry flavored, and like it was just like, ooh, this is a yummy piece of candy. But they don't taste that good anymore. So she was like, I have two of these. Like, you should probably take some motion sickness pills. And I'm like, I've never ever gotten sick on a plane. I've never gotten sick on a plane. Ever. So I'm like, you know what? I mean, I've never gotten sick, but I'm like, whatever. Maybe they'll make me drowsy. Sure. And so I took 2. But then like we get there, and this was our first time ever flying United. I hopefully it will be our last. So we get there and like we meet up with my brother and my sister-in-law and the baby, and we get on the shuttle and we get there, and we get to the airport and we get to and again, it's 2 a.m. Our flight's at 4:20. And this is SeaTac Airport, one of the biggest in the fucking country. Like, you know, like you see famous people there and shit all that. It's a big fucking airport. It's not as big as like Denver or like LaGuardia or whatever, you know, like, but it's fucking big, right? And so I'm like, 2 a.m., we're good. I'll have time to eat. There'll be a place where I can get breakfast. So we get there and I'm like, we have 2 hours to fuck around, right? So we get to the baggage claim or the place to check in our baggage, and there's just nobody there. We're like, okay, maybe they just haven't opened yet. But so we get in line, and then more people show up. Nobody behind the counter. Nope. So we're like, all right, I know it's 2 a.m., but again, this is like one of the biggest airports in the country. There are flights all throughout the night. Why is there no one here? Other flight, like the Delta line, like they got people. Like Alaska's got people. United, nothing. So we're sitting there, and we just stand there waiting for an employee to show up for an hour and a half. And I'm like, okay. So now it's like 3:30, and we still have to go through TSA. And I'm like, and I was in pain from hunger last night. So like, I'm so fucking hungry. And I'm like, all right, whatever. We'll go through TSA. Maybe I'll still, there's still going to be food everywhere. I'll be able to grab something. So after that, we finally check our fucking bags in, which there was a bunch of issues there because United sucks. And so like, even though we had it pre-checked, there's going to be 5 bags. They're like, this only shows 4. I don't know, whatever. Maybe my mom fucked maybe my mom fucked something up. Maybe there was something weird with the app. I don't know. But of course it didn't go through easily. So we do all that. We go through TSA and now it's 4. Our flight leaves at 4:20, it starts boarding at 4:20. So we get out of there and there's a Starbucks right there as soon as we get out of TSA. I fucking hate Starbucks. So my mom's like, oh, we'll go get Starbucks. And I'm like, I'm going to go look for something else really quick. Cause I know, again, we're in SeaTac and whatever, but we didn't if you've been to SeaTac before, there's like the main terminals that it's kind of like Denver in that there's a bunch of different buildings, right? And there's a little tram that goes around, or not tram, but like a little, like a little subway thing to get you from one chunk of buildings to the next. And so the like main hub, has like all of the restaurants and shit and fine, like good restaurants and shit is on the tram. We didn't go on the tram. So I'm like, oh, there's going to be other places here. There's 2 other restaurants and they're closed. And I'm like, all right, well, I walked away for about 3 minutes. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I guess I'll go back to Starbucks. I get back. There has since a line formed around from the TSA line to Starbucks, 40 something people in line at this fucking Starbucks. And my family already got food and they're sitting there eating. And I'm like, so everybody but me, the hungry one, got food. And I'm like, what? Now there's not enough. I was gone. I wasn't even gone for a couple minutes. What the fuck? So now I don't have time. They're like, listen, we got to get on the flight. So I'm like, all right, my brother let me eat half of a sandwich. So I'm like, okay, I have to eat something or I'm going to die. I am the kind of hungry where you're nauseous. So I'm like, I'm like, whatever. I'll just go to a vending machine. I'll go to a vending machine. I go there and it's I get a bag of pretzels, a Chex Mix thing, and then a Mountain Dew, an apple juice. And because I was like, I don't want to just drink Mountain Dew right now. I'm going to get an apple juice and I got a little thing of the gummy nerds clusters for later, because I didn't want to munch on those too much either because I know I'm going to be getting on a plane and shit. I don't know. I just was like, whatever, salt and bread, it's better than nothing. Maybe I'll eat at Denver. So we do that and I finally get on and about 20 minutes into the flight, I'd eaten my pretzels, I'd eaten half my Chex Mix and I've eaten a couple pieces of the nerds gummy clusters. And we're all packed in there, and it sucks. It's tiny. I'm cramped as fuck. I'm too tall to be. Hey, fuck. Can I trade in being tall? Everything. I'm not even that tall. I'm 6'2". That's pretty tall, but it's not I'm not 6'7". I'm not 6'8". I'm not an NBA tall. I'm pretty sure I'm the same height as the shortest person in the NBA, right? And nothing is built to accommodate me. Every fucking thing I do, any job I have where I have to work over a counter, I have to fucking hurt my back. I'm tired of it. I am done being tall, okay? I just would like to, and I'm not that fat either, but wow, airplanes really fucking hate fat and tall people. Oh my God. So I'm so uncomfortable and cramped into this little spot, but I eat the pretzels or whatever. But about 20 minutes into the flight, I start getting lightheaded. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm kind of blacking out, sort of. And I'm like, whoa, I just got a little motion sick. Why am I don't know, whatever, it'll go away in a second. I'm like, oh, it's getting bad. Oh, it's getting bad. And I'm about to faint. And I'm like, what is happening? What is going on? But I'm like, okay, I knew there was bags in the little thing, the pocket in the seat in front of me. So but I put my food in there. I'd put my little snacks in there. So I'm like, it's underneath of all of my shit. And I'm like, hey, Pat, I'm sitting next to Pat and Jackie. And I'm like, hey, Pat, Jackie, I need the bags. And my brother's like, I'm like, now, I need it now. Cause it was I'm nauseous. Oh God, I'm nauseous. Oh, what the fuck? And I'm again, fainting and blacking out. My brother's like, I don't have it. And then Jackie's like, I don't know where mine is either. So I'm just I rip all of my shit out and fucking dump Chex Mix and nerds gummy clusters all over the floor just to get to the bag. I get it. Fucking start throwing up in it. And then after that point, I don't really remember much. I just was not really conscious, but I made it into the bag and I'm like, thank God. And it wasn't that big of a bag, but it was a little paper bag. And then the attendant was there and she's like, I can get you a trash bag or whatever. And so I'm like, "Brr!" And then I get to it and I'm like, I lean back and I'm like, first of all, this has never happened. why is this happening now? And apparently, like, the same thing happened to like 2 other people further down on the flight at the exact same time. And Pat was saying he got like super lightheaded out of nowhere as well. So I think they like depressurized the cabin for a second. Like, that is the only, because I've never been sick on a plane. And then all of a sudden I'm like, whatever, but I at least made it into the bag. And either I blacked out mid throwing up and like stopped hitting the bag, or the bag just tore open as soon as I threw up into it. So then like, I'm like, at least I got it into this bag, and then I moved the bag, and my pants and the wall beside me are covered in vomit. And I'm like, oh, okay. And again, we're about 20 minutes into the flight, and I have to go to Denver, hang out there for like an hour and a half, and then like two hours, and then catch another flight to North Dakota. So I'm like, oh, okay. So then like, and everyone around me is being a little bitch. Hey, I'm sorry. If you have a weak stomach, I apologize. I'm going to engage in a little bit of ableism. Grow up. Fucking grow up. Oh, I threw up near you? Oh, that must be so hard for you, who's not covered in vomit right now. I'm so fucking sorry. So then they like, all right, we need to do some rearranging, but also like, we can't like, they're like, okay, here's what we can do is like, here's a little, you know, the little Lysol wipes and thing. And they're like, here, have this. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll get up what I can, get a decent bit off my pants, get a little bit off my jacket, my wool coat that's dry clean only. Like, and then like, I get the wall a little bit, and I'm like, okay. And I use up the last of them, and I'm like, all right, do you have any more of these? And they're like, we're only allowed 1 container on the plane at a time. I'm like, oh, okay. And then also because 2 other people threw up at the exact same time, they're like, we have to go to the front of the plane and also deal with that situation. Like, so I'm just sitting there, and like, eventually they're like, all right, we're going to rearrange some shit. The people in front of me were like clearly also about to throw up, like horrified. Like everyone around me is like, oh my God. Ew, oh my God. And I'm just like, what? Never seen a guy fucking puke before? Like, what? Look me in the eye. Well, I look like a fucking pig, don't I? Yeah, I'm fucking disgusting. So I'm like annoyed, because I'm just like, grow up. You didn't even throw up. You don't have to sit in this shit. Like, at least I didn't shit everywhere. Fuck you, you know. So then they like relocate everybody around me, and then like they relocated Pat and Jackie and the baby to like the seat in front of me, and like my parents. So then I had a row to myself. So this was the silver lining. I had a row to myself after this point. But again, I'm off my Adderall, so I'm kind of like withdrawing. So then for the rest of the flight, I have vomit on me. I'm like off my Adderall, so I'm just like fidgeting, and I can't sit still. Like, I'm too uncomfortable. My whole body's uncomfortable, and I can't fucking sleep, even though I have the whole row, because Boeing planes are bad. Oh, and by the way, we were on the Boeing plane that they just killed the whistleblower about. It was that plane. I forgot the name of the model. So I'm like, all right, cool. This is going to be a fun flight. So I'm just like miserable. We get there. My whole body is like sore. Like I was on the verge of a Charlie horse in both legs like the whole time. I don't know why. And I was drinking water, but apparently I was just like super dehydrated or something. So like we get to the fucking Denver, and I'm like, finally, I'll just have to go find like a private bathroom and like wash off my pants as best as I can with like paper towels. And like the first bathroom we get to, and we don't have that much time in Denver. I think we had like an hour to an hour and a half. So like we get there, and like our other flight was like on the other side of the airport. Like we had to go walk a ways to get to it. So I'm like, fuck. All right, well, I can pull over here, and we'll stop at this bathroom. The single occupancy bathroom was locked. So nope, apparently not. And so the I'm like not quite in frame right, because usually there we go. That's where I should be. So I'm like, all right, cool. I can't go in there. I'll have to just like do my best in like a public fucking airport men's room. And we go in there. Every paper towel dispenser is empty. There are no paper towels in this. And it's the Denver airport, the Illuminati airport, like the biggest airport in the country, I'm pretty sure. And I'm like, how is this empty? How is there nothing? It's like 5 a.m. It's like 6 a.m. Why are there? How? So I'm like, I don't have any paper towels or anything. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. I'll just use goddamn toilet paper. because I had completely missed that I had gotten it on my jacket. By the way, when I was on the plane, like I didn't notice that I like threw up all over my arm too. Like by the time I cleaned everything else out and ran out of wipes is when I was like, oh, I have puke all over my jacket. Great. And so I'm like, whatever. I just need to like wash this off here. And like I found like a janitor cart and just stole which didn't have any paper towels either. So I just stole a roll of toilet paper. And I'm trying to wash my pants and shirt with toilet paper. And I'm like, whatever. And we get out. I get out, rejoin everybody. I'm like, they didn't have any fucking paper towels. They didn't have any anything. I had to use toilet paper. I got it off my jacket, but I didn't get to wash my pants at all. And my mom was just like, you'll be fine. It's and they're like, oh, and by the way, you missed a spot. And I'm like, fuck. And then it's like, you'll be fine. You know, you got the disinfectant. I'm like, no, I won't. Like, I'm covered in vomit. Shut up. And because I'm also still hungry, mind you, because I threw up everything that I ate, which was not much. And I threw up a lot somehow. So I must have just thrown up any fluids that I had. Like, so then we stop. I get some food there. I get some Gatorade. Ride the rest of the way there. And I have to like check into the hotel and everything. And I'm still just, my clothes are all crusty. I fucking stink. Like but the funeral's the next day. Like I finally get to get a hotel room and I finally get to change and shower and shit. And we get to the funeral and every single person. Oh, and my family. I think they were trying to make me feel better, but they just like would not stop giving me shit about it. I don't know. Like my brother was fine. I think he made a joke or two, but my mom would just like not stop. Like, you're gonna be sick? Are you good for the next flight? I hate to see you throw up everywhere again, you know, right? I don't remember exactly what she said, but I just remember she kept saying things that I was just like, but like the funeral's the next day and we show up at the gravesite and stuff, and we're in like North Dakota, and I see like a whole bunch of family members I haven't seen since I was like probably like 5. You know, and so it's like this big family reunion thing. And I get there and every single person I talk to, I'm like, oh, hi. Yeah, I'm Sean. I'm Del Rey's son. I was Archie's grandson. You might have remembered me. Like, I don't know if we've met. I might have been a little kid or something. And they'd be like, yeah. Are you feeling better? And I'm like, and at first it was like my mom's like the cousin she's like really close with, like who like lives on the East Coast. So I never get to see her, but I know of her. And like this is the first time I've met her since I was like a little kid because we don't get to go to like New England often. So I was like, okay, yeah, my mom told her. And then I go to the next group of people and they're like, hey, are you feeling better? I'm like, what, from the depression? Or from, and then like every single person was like, oh, I heard you had a rough flight. And I'm like, Mom! So like every single person, that's like all we talk about. And, she keeps fucking bringing it up too. I'm like, is it that funny? Is it that funny? Listen. If I was on a flight and you threw up everywhere, and this could to anybody, generally speaking, to if this was my brother, if this was my mom, whoever, I would shut the fuck up unless you explicitly gave me permission. I get that I'm her kid, and it's her job as a parent. Or at least, not her job, but like, this is just, I guess, one of those like parent privileges is she gets to embarrass me, right? And I'm not, like, it's embarrassing, of course, because like, yeah, you got sick and threw up all over yourself in public and had to walk around with it for like fucking 10 hours. Of course, it's a little embarrassing, but it's like, I'm an adult. I'm just like, yeah, what? Like, if anybody was gonna, be weird about it, and I'm like, what? Like, but at a certain point, I'm like, it's not that I'm embarrassed. It's that like, what the fuck is wrong with you, right? Like I'm like, I don't care that they knew I got sick. It's not a big deal. People get sick on airplanes, but it's like, do you have to do that though? Like, do you have to? Like, it is still something I would prefer to keep private. I don't know. That's not something I want to. And here I am telling Twitch and the internet, but it's like, that's on my terms, and I'm not like still kind of fucking frazzled from it, And, but anyway, like everything after that, like, so I had like a dog shit flight, a dog shit couple weeks before that, a dog shit month prior. But, the funeral's great. It's good to see everybody. I have a great time. And eventually my mom was like, the hotel room was like, it had a couch with a pull-out bed, but it was like the worst shit in the planet. And it was like dirty. And my mom was like, you know what? I'm going to get you your own room. I'm like, cool. I can jack off. But so she gets my own room, and like the whole thing was great. I had a great time, you know. And I didn't even realize it at first, but the hotel had free laundry, so I could even like wash my clothes, which I did. I had like other laundry from like the funeral and stuff. Like it was like we got there. The funeral was the next day, and then we had another day to dick around in North Dakota and do stuff, and then we flew home either like late that evening, I think. So I was like, oh, after the funeral, I was like, oh, I could like wash all my shit. So I scooped everything up, and I didn't have like a bag or a basket or anything, but I just was like, my brother was like, oh, we've just been using it for free laundry because the laundry's free. So we're just like, oh, I have shit that I don't even need to wash, but I'm gonna wash it anyway. So I'm like, oh, well, fuck, okay. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, oh, we just use a towel, just like bundle it up in a towel and take it down there. I'm like, okay, cool. So like I bundle up all my clothes and shit with like everything, and I get down there and throw it in the wash. And then like that night, like I move it over, and like I'm hanging out with my family and stuff the night, so I'm not really back in my hotel room until later. And then I get back to my hotel room and look at the one thing that fell out of the bundle. My fucking puke-covered pajamas. So, like, I got to wash everything but the thing I needed to wash. So that was cool. And I was like, you know what? Whatever. I'm just going to put them in a different pocket. And just, who gives a shit? Who fucking cares? Like, because I didn't have enough time now. Because I was like, yeah, I learned my lesson. I'm not going to stay awake and, like, not get sleep for the flight again. Like, yeah, we do that, and we get back, or, you know, like, I just was like, okay, whatever. So then the next day, like, we leave or whatever, and, like, the North Dakota airport is very quaint, and very cute, but it's really hard when you're, like, fucking, you know, it's funny, like, when everyone is so friendly, because it's North Dakota, and there's, like, 11 people there, like, but it is funny whenever there's, like, a cool TSA agent. Like the TSA is just one of the most fucking dystopian things, and people are like, how did we ever accept that? And it's like, no, we didn't. It was never okay. It's just, you just can't do anything to stop them from doing that. But it's like, ever since they were like, yeah, they're gonna scan your nude body, and it's not even gonna work, but it's not even gonna prevent anything. It's like, you can just put something on your side and it still won't like matter. Like, we're just here to just make sure you're uncomfortable in public because this is a police state. In case you didn't remember, we're here to remind you this is a police state. Did you remember that it's a police state? Because it's a police state. So like whenever I get to an airport and there's like a cool TSA person, I like there was like it's like with a grain of salt. Like she's super personable, and like the family in front of us was like, they had like a little kid, and it was like his birthday. And she's like, oh, how old are you turning? Like, wow, you're 11. Ooh, you're so, and like, oh, what's that? You know, being super cool. And all I can think the whole time is like, wow, it's your birthday. He was like turning 11 or 12. And anytime it's just like, wow, cool. Like, you're turning 12. Oh, that's great. I'm going to look at your penis. Like, that's all I can think about. Like, I just can't get past it. I'm just like, why are you being cool and friendly? Sorry, Rusty with the keyboard macros. And yeah, like that's all I can think about. It's just like yeah, just listen, you're looking at my cock, okay? I don't care what you have to say right now. Like whatever. And I'm just like, how do you do that? Like, how do you do that job? How do you do that job and then like interact with 11-year-olds and like, all right, I get to look at your penis now. I get to look at your penis and butthole in case you're hiding a bomb. Like, I don't know. I hate this fucking country. And yeah. So that was a few weeks ago. And of course, like after all this shit, I'm like, all right, everything's taken care of. I need another week or two to recover still. Because I'm still, you know, I'm mostly doing better, but I can still feel like the vestiges of, you know, the burnout and whatnot. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's why I haven't been around for 3 months. Like, and that's where we're back today. You know, I got, obviously the water's out of my room. It's still a little stinky. I bought a bong in the meantime. There's also a fiasco with like rental cars. Like we got back and it was like, my mom's like, I'll let you borrow my car. And I was like, okay, whatever. Cause like we had my grandpa's truck. She's like, I'll let you borrow the car and I'll drive the truck. And I'm like, all right, cool. So like I drive the car to work one day and my coworker's like, that's a different car. Okay. I'm like, yeah, I know, mine's in the shop. And then we get and then my mom texts me the next morning like, hey, I changed my mind. You can drive the truck and I'll take the car back because I missed my car. And I'm like, okay, I don't care. So then I'm driving my grandpa's truck and And I get back in to work, and my coworker looks at it again like, and I'm like, yeah, I know. And then the next day, we get another rental because we don't know how long the repairs. Oh yeah, okay, that's the other thing. So we get back and it's like, we don't know how much longer the repairs are going to take, but it's not going to be too long. So we get another rental. So then I show up with another car. So there was like, I went through like 5 cars in a period of like 2 weeks. So I got this like the shitty like Ford like EcoSport or something. And it kind of sucked, but it had a banging stereo system. But I just like keep showing up to work in different cars every day. And it was just like very confusing for my coworkers. But anyway, we get a call back from the mechanic and they were like, yeah, the repairs only cost like $680. So, okay. And then we get a call back from my insurance and the payout. So like, I believe the payout was supposed to be like the value of the car minus whatever they would have gotten it for auction or something. So it was like the value of the car was supposed to be like $7,500, and then they were going to get like $2,000. And then there was like another thing they had to take off. So they were telling me over the phone the whole time, they're like, if you keep the car, you'll get a payout of like $4,000. That should be enough to recover, you know, like in our case, we were like, okay, that, cause they were like, there's no repairing it. It's done. But for us, we were like, okay, $4,000 should cover the, you know, $3,000, $4,000 should cover the repairs, cause we're not going to replace that stupid part. We get there and they're like, yeah, it was like $680. And we get a call back from the insurance with the payout, and they gave me like $6,800. So the payout for the totaling was almost $7,000. The repairs were $600.
Hold on, pause this shit. What the fuck is going on in here on this?
So, like, I'm like, okay, cool. Thank you. That's great. I grew up, now, yeah. So, now I don't know about you, but I grew up in the housing crisis. Can we stop for a sec? I know we missed this. We all missed this. I know. Okay, thank you.
Oh shit. First of all,
what did I just do? Oh fuck, I did something. Hold on. Sammy had a bunch of updates, so shit's a little weird. Because there was a bunch of Sammy updates in the time since I was streaming. But so I'm like, thank you for the money. What market is about to crash? Like, it's giving 0 interest loan. It's giving like I'm just more confused than ever. Cause I'm like, then why did you total it? Because like even then the value. So like I'm guessing that they double checked the value, because everyone at the mechanics, when we brought it over that first time we talked to the mechanics, they're like, oh, push back. And I'm like, that's what I'm trying to do. And like, but they're like, no, it should be, you can just push back and then they'll hire somebody else to reappraise it. Like, you don't have to do that. And I'm like, that's what I'm fucking saying, mother. And yeah, it's so good to be back. What's my, did I forget to bring my water bottle over here? We'll wait. We can wait. Okay. So, we got to pay out the repairs. I have the car back. It's like fine. Like I didn't, why didn't the dolphin noise play? Never mind. Okay. It's gonna be that. Missed the day. Sure did miss this. I sure did miss this. But so I'm kind of just like, I'm more confused than ever as far as the money goes. Like, did they?
Do not.
Okay, we'll play a fucking video game. Are you happy? Okay. But yeah, so I don't know. I think that's about where we're at. Like, I'm just very confused. Like, my only guess is that they just gambled really, really hard on stealing my car. Like, I think they just really fucking wanted the car, and they were like, well, fuck it, total it. Like, take the fucking car, and like, did everything in their power to convince me to get rid of the car, and then I didn't, and they were like, fuck. I mean, we made sure to guilt them about the funeral and shit. Like, we made sure on the original phone call, we made sure, like, well, we're about to leave for my grandfather just passed away, and we have to leave for the funeral tomorrow. And he's like, sorry to hear that. Anyway, so here's what we're gonna do to your car. like maybe they like felt bad or whatever. Like, but it seems like they reappraised it or something, and like got an actual price. But I'm still just like, why did they total it? Why did they put me through all of that bullshit? Why did they waste a month and a half of my time? And then why did they pay me out so much money when they directly told me they were not going to do that? What's going on? What's the tea? So I have all this money left over. I would like to, at some point, I want to upgrade my computer and first of all, get it fixed. Which, by the way, I remember all the computer problems I was having before the hiatus. I haven't fixed any of them. The computer's still fucked. So after that, I took another couple weeks to recover. Like, I think last week and the week before, I was like, I could come back to streaming, but like, no, I need some time to just shut the fuck up and hang out in my room and recover from everything. Yeah, so like, I'm hoping to, it's tough. Like, I want to, first of all, fix my computer and then maybe get like a nice new graphics card. So like the fucking confetti won't break my computer every time, you know? But it's really tough right now because there's no graphics card companies that aren't committing a fucking genocide right now. Like, I want a 3080 or something because I can afford it now, but like, Nvidia's supporting the fuck out of the fuck out of Israel. It's on the BDS block list, and I don't know about AMD, but like pretty much all of them are like just like annihilating the Congo right now. It's like a really bad time to be trying to upgrade your PC. So, I don't know. But that's about where we're at. So, goddamn. I wasn't sure if I would be able to fill up that much space with a story time like that. But we're here. We're done. Hi. Welcome back to the stream. It's been 2 hours of talking. Hope you've liked it. Today, since it's my first day back, I plan on streaming tomorrow probably as well. And today, I think we're going to chill a bit. That took a lot longer than I thought it would. But I was going to have a, yeah, I don't know. We'll call that good. Oh, look at that. My housemates just got home. Our PC's not PC? Nope. They are extremely problematic, as it turns out. So, yeah. But anyway, that's it for the story time. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording there. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I have missed you because I also like I haven't been on Twitch at all either. Like, I haven't been doing anything, so like I haven't talked to a lot of people. I've kind of been just like disconnecting. Like I miss a lot of you guys. I really miss being on here, and I'm glad that that's something I've always wondered. I've always wondered, would I be able to carry a stream of nothing? Turns out I can. I mean, it was the last couple months were delivering on the content. Like, I had a lot to work with. They were really. Do I have a Discord yet? Yeah, I do. I do. I thought I invited you already. Let me post a link to it real quick. Let me go ahead and. I don't remember if I've made it formally public because there are still some things I need to change before I do that. But I believe where's the invite people? There we go. Here's a link. Shut up!
Did you guys hear that?
Yeah, there you go. There's a link to it. Like I said, I talked about a lot of this stuff in the Discord before. Not pretty much like everything up to the kidney stone and the house being flooded. I talked about in the Discord. I didn't talk about all the stuff after that with the car and whatnot. I wanted to save that for that's for content, baby. But yeah, I don't know. I hope y'all like that, the story time. And now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stop this recording here and then start.